morning. It's day 3 from Japan. We're in Sapporo, as you saw yesterday. Had a long train trip up here, and it was a very tiring day, hence me passing out at 7:30, as you witnessed last night, thanks to Nicole. But we're up early this morning. It's about, I don't know what time is it now, 5:30. I was been up since 3, and or getting ready to go to breakfast at 6:30. We heard on TripAdvisor that this place gets really busy at breakfast, so we're hoping to beat the rush at 6:30 and right when the restaurant opens. But in the meantime, we're doing a bit of planning. Today we're going to go to Otaru for a day trip, and we've been looking forward to that for quite a long time. But I'm going to get started here with a coffee, and I'm going to introduce you to Drip On, which is an instant coffee that they have here, which is not bad actually, considering it's instant and my snobbery for coffee. But it'll do the trick, get me moving, and get up to breakfast. So let me show you this. The first interesting thing that they had at this hotel is I've never seen before is this kettle, which is kind of like a combo kettle, combo water heater. Like we have this big water heater at home, which I think does 2.5 liters and keeps it warm, boils it, keeps it warm, and this is something similar. So it took me a little bit to figure out, but you open it like this, and you can see it's full of hot water right now. Very thick lid, so it must keep the water quite warm for a while. And then to pour it, that was another thing that kind of threw me for a loop. This is not decoration. That's a button to open it, and then you can pour it out. So that's a pretty neat contraption. Here's a Drip On. Let's see if I can maneuver this. Saw Nicole. So as with most instant food in Japan, opening it is a well thought out process. So just to break into this package here, we're going to pull like this, and that opens it up. And you can pull out the actual Drip On instant coffee pod thing. And here you're going to take these tabs and open it up like that. There's the coffee inside. And then these brown pieces on the ends here, we're going to just collapse that in. And you have this sort of contraption, holds it open, put it over your cup. And then you just pour in the water. And let it steep. That's almost done brewing. I'm just going to enjoy that coffee and do a bit more planning for the day and get up to breakfast. I am so hungry. My clock is completely off. I've been thinking about that, trying to explain why it's been so rough this time. I was saying to Nicole this morning that I feel like this trip, the jet lag is hitting us a lot harder than it usually does. And I have a theory, but I'm still working out that theory with the complications of time zones. And once I get that straight in my head, I'll fill you in. We're down at the breakfast, or up at the breakfast restaurant. Actually, we're on the 35th floor out of 36 of this tower where the hotel is at. And the breakfast is incredibly varied. I was surprised. They have all kinds of stuff from like a Western food to a Japanese food. So let me show you a few things that I grabbed that are kind of interesting. So they make a omelet. This is a lamb based omelet. I forget what they call it. They call it whatever the word they use for Genghis Khan, which is the lamb here. And then I got some pork, various fish. This is squid stuffed with rice. Some smoked salmon, and I wasn't quite sure what this was. and some black soybean bread, which I've never heard of before, and a few buns. This is a melon bun, I forget what they called it, melon something.
They called it
brioche,
melon
brioche. And this was a Hokkaido butter infused roll. And this is our view out the window over Sapporo. There is the TV tower. Needless to say, I think we're going to enjoy this breakfast, and I'm starving, so I'm going to tuck in. What do you think of breakfast?
Oh my god, the selection. I don't think I want to leave ever.
So here's round 2. Got some various pickles, some salmon roe, miso soup, Hokkaido rice, some steamed vegetables, mushrooms, sweet potato, carrot, bread pudding, more of the fish, and the stuffed squid. And this was, I'm not sure, some kind of salad with potato and octopus. And some seaweed wraps for the rice. The food has been amazing. All the Hokkaido specialties, of course, are really good. The butter was unreal. The rolls were really good. That melon brioche was so good. They had a seaweed kind of roll that I'm going to try. That looked kind of interesting. But yeah, the food's been amazing. So I'm going to get on with round 2 here. Ooh, breakfast is done. And I am stuffed. That was really, really good. I was really shocked again with the variety that they had up there. I finished off the meal with some gelato. Actually, they had some pumpkin gelato and some Hokkaido cream gelato, and both of those were really amazing. But I am ready for a nap. I could easily take a nap right now, but I think that is not in order. I was just looking out the window from our hotel room, and I was noticing how orderly all the roads appear here. And that was because Sapporo, well, Hokkaido in general, was one of the last places to have been developed, I guess, in Japan. And Sapporo was chosen as the primary city, so it's Hokkaido's capital. And it was designed with a lot of influence from the West. So you can see, like anyone from North America, myself included, it looks very familiar. It looks like any city you would see out there. And that is basically because the roads are on a grid system here. You can clearly see all the roads in grid form, following a grid pattern, unlike pretty much anywhere else I've been in Japan, where it just feels a little bit more like chaos trying to navigate. See, that's a big sprawling city. Sapporo is Japan's 5th largest city. So we're just going to get packed up and sorted here and head out for our day trip to Otaru. Made it to Otaru, and we're leaving Otaru already. We just got here and we're grabbing a connecting train to a town called Yoichi, and we're going there to visit Whiskey Distillery.
There are free samples at the distillery.
That's always what drives us.
Free samples?
No. This one sounds interesting because the person who brought Whiskey distilling to Japan founded this distillery, and we will tell you more about him when we get there. We just got off the train at Yoichi, and this is where the distillery is located. I thought we had one more stop to go, so I was just leisurely there, sitting in the train, enjoying the ride, and then Nicole looked out the window at the stop and noticed these things and said, "Is this the stop?" And I was like, "No." And then I looked over and like, "Oh wait, maybe it is." And then I looked for the sign and I saw the Yoichi sign. And good job, Nicole. You saved the day. I love these things they do to the stairs. Very smart. All right, we made it into the Nikka Whiskey Distillery complex that they have here in Yoichi. It's really, really interesting, and I was not expecting it to be like this. This whole complex of several buildings lined with all this beautiful trees. It's a really interesting setting, and with the snow coming down, it just adds to the atmosphere.
It feels like a theme park.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a theme park. I just wanted to tell you quickly about the distillery here. It was started by a man called Takatsuru Matsutaka, and he learned the art of whiskey distilling back in Scotland. He had gone there to learn that. The company, which is now the Suntory company, actually sent him there to learn it, because up until then all their Western liquor that they were making in Japan was kind of just like imitation. It wasn't like the real stuff, so they wanted to start producing a much higher quality Western style liquor here in Japan. So he went there to learn how to do that. Interesting, while he was there learning that, he met a girl, and he married her and brought her back to Japan, and she lived out her life here in Japan, supporting him in his efforts in becoming a whiskey distiller. Her name was Rita. Back at the Suntory company, he had a rift with the president, because he wanted to have his whiskey distilled in a climate very similar to Scotland, but the president didn't want him to do that. They just wanted to keep it at their location in Osaka. So he actually left the company, and this was, I'm not sure exactly when he left, but it was 1923 when they started to found this new whiskey distilling portion of the company. He left and he started his own distillery, and that's when he came to Yoichi, which does have a very similar climate to Scotland, and he claimed that he could find everything he needed here to make his whiskey. So his first batch of whiskey came out in 1940. And he had to, I was reading, he had to do it with one, what do they call those, distillers? One of those big copper pots, I forget what they're called. Usually you use two, but he only had one, so he had to make his whiskey with just the one. And so they casked it up, and while they waited for it to age, they had to make money, so they actually started making apple juice here and apple wine and whatnot. So yeah, very interesting story and how this got started. He was the grandfather of whiskey in Japan. He brought it here. He was the first one actually to learn how to do it and to do it well. And they've won many accolades here. Japan has recently won the best whiskey in the world, beating out Scotland, which is slightly ironic maybe, but very telling of the attention to detail they put into what they're doing here. The blue building behind me is a reconstruction of the private residence of Rita and Masataka. And then this part of the house here, this little wing of the house, I guess you would say, you could go in there and see some artifacts from their lives and some pictures from their time in Japan. I'll put up a picture of both of them so you can get a sense for what they look like. Very interesting mix of sort of like Western architecture with Japanese hints in there. Like the roof looks very Japanese to me, and the entranceway here looks quite rather Japanese. So we've just come into warehouse number 1 here, where the distilled whiskey is resting in its oak barrels, aging to perfection, waiting for people like us to drink it. Apparently 1/3 of the whiskey is lost to evaporation while it's aged, and they call that the angel's share. Walking around the grounds here of the distillery, you can see the trees are encased in various interesting things. Like these ones here are encased in sort of like teepees of wood and rope, and there's some other trees that we saw earlier which the actual branches are being supported by rope, and I'm just guessing they're getting them ready and protected for the winter and all the snowfall that probably happens up here. They take care of their trees. We've made it up to the tasting room. It's this huge room with a bar set up with little taster glasses of 3 different types of liquor. Well, there's 2 whiskeys and 1 apple liquor, and there's an ice station, water station if you want to do that. They've also got a machine that will give you fizzy water, tonic water maybe. Yeah, really neat setup. So let's go in there and do some damage. Got the first whiskey to taste. This is the Super Nikka whiskey. It's a blended whiskey. They are very concerned about drinking and driving, as they should be probably. So let's give this a try. It's good. That's good whiskey. I'm not a huge whiskey drinker, so I am not going to be able to speak the whiskey language, but usually from my experience of trying whiskeys that I've had in the past, usually do not want a second sip. But this one, I could actually do that. It's actually pretty good. So I'm going to enjoy this one and then head up and see what the next one to try is. Okay, so I got the second sample. This is Tekesuru. I believe it's probably named after the founder here. It's also a blend. They said it's a stronger whiskey, which doesn't bode well for me. Ooh, it's very different. I get a much smokier flavor out of this one. And it does have a stronger taste. I think I prefer the other one, being a whiskey nude. I probably like the more mellow whiskey. But I'll make a dent in this glass and then go up for the last sample. They do have an apple juice, and I'm going to give it a try. Wow, that's gotta be the best apple juice I've ever had. It's like apple. I remember when we were first in Japan, we had grapes with our dinner, like at a Ryokan. They gave you some grapes at the end as like your palate cleanser, I guess. And when we ate them, we're like, wow, that's bubblicious. It was so grapey grape. And this is exactly like that, except an apple. Really good. All right, so I got one more sample to try up there. Let me go grab it. Alright, it's time for the last one. I'm just kidding. This is their apple, what they call wine, but it's more like a liqueur. It's a 22% alcohol. Yeah, definitely a sweet apple aroma. Very sweet. You could easily drink this and get super drunk without realizing it. I hate to say I quite like this actually. That's very good. Yeah, I guess we're done the tour. We are at the end where you get plastered and then they shuffle you off and make room for the next set of guests. This was a really good experience. I'm happy we came out here, a little bit out of the way, but well worth it. Beautiful grounds, really interesting exhibits. Not too much English, be forewarned. I did read that they have an iPhone app that you can download, and it basically is an audio guide. So you don't have to borrow anything or pay for anything. You can just get the app for your iPhone, and they must have an Android version. And they have signs everywhere, like which number to press in. And they have a few videos here and there that are in English that you can watch. And in the actual museum part, they did have some English on the signs. But it's not hard to get the gist. Really interesting museum. I would recommend it. Would you recommend it?
Definitely.
Definitely?
Definitely.
Definitely. All right, so we're going to finish up here and head back to Otaru. We're back in Otaru now, and we've been walking around a little bit. We walked down from the train station to the canal area because we were going to go to a conveyor belt sushi place. but unfortunately it was dead. I guess it's a bit of an odd time for lunch now. It's 2 o'clock, and they actually didn't take Visa, and we don't want to use up all our cash. So we hunted around for another place, and we found this really neat restaurant, which is in an old bank. Actually, when you go to the washroom, you're going in the vault. So that was kind of neat. They still have the gates and whatnot from the bank vault, the doors, I should say. And so we've got a seafood laden meal here that looks really good. We got sushi. Oh, I got a set that has sushi and tempura, and Nicole got a set which had some sushi and some crab, which she's been dying to have. It looks like hairy crab. She's been really looking forward to having hairy crab. Hokkaido is known for sushi. That's why we were trying to get. Hokkaido is known for seafood, and that's why we're trying to eat as much seafood while we're up here as possible. And Otaru is specifically known for sushi. So that's another reason we were trying to find sushi. We're going to go to the conveyor belt sushi place, even though we went to one last night. So we are going to tuck in here. I'm going to try some of this tempura. So there's 2 shrimp and some veggies. The shrimp flavor just screams out at you. It's really good. And the tempura is really nice and light. Like coater of batting, not overpowering the shrimp. So I'm not going to compete with the music. I just started singing, and we're going to eat. We're starving. We'll catch you later. We have an interesting activity set up for this afternoon.
Okay, it's time for the main event. The reason why we came to Hokkaido. Let's see. It's crabalicious.
Wow, that lunch was good, eh?
I'm so happy we found this place. This was an excellent find. The atmosphere was great. The food was fantastic, really good quality, really fresh.
Yeah, I liked having our own little booth to sit in.
Yeah.
That was really neat.
Yeah. The crab was so good.
Yeah, the seafood was good. All right, I needed something hot and hopefully sweet to wash down that meal. So, second boss of the trip. I have no idea what flavor this is, but I am soon to find out. Latte. Very good and very sweet. Let's go. Alright, so we arrived at our afternoon activity, but we decided to make glassware. Otaru is famous for glassware, and there's lots of places where you can come and make various things, and this one was recommended to us by the person at the tourist desk in the train station. So we made reservations and came here after lunch to do this. So they have their workshop over in the other side of the building where we will go and choose what we want to make and which color, and if we want to do any additions like cracks or bubbles, all that kind of stuff. And then I guess they'll show us how to make it. I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out, but yeah, looking forward to it. Going to have a custom sake glass. Very good. Okay. All right, we just finished making our glasses. That was actually really fun. It was a little quick. I would have liked to have been doing that for a bit longer, but it took, what, 20 minutes, 30 minutes each, maybe max. And I made a sake glass, and Nicole made a whiskey glass, and she got hers cracked. Yeah, that was really fun. So basically they do pretty much everything for you. There's no way anyone could possibly just walk in and do this. It was pretty technically challenging, I would say. And the parts that he did let us do, I felt like we both screwed up. He had to fix it for us. But it was really fun, and I'm looking forward to using my glass. What did you think?
I thought the experience was fun. It is actually much scarier than it looks. I'm glad he did most of the work, because even, like Michael said, even though he did most of the work, I still managed to make my glass very lopsided. He fixed it.
Yeah. Good souvenir too.
Yes. Good experience and good souvenir.
Yeah. We were just wandering around after finishing making our cups over at that glass place, and we came down to the canal, which is a tourist place to come and see when you come visit Otaru. And it's really picturesque. They have it all lit up right now for the winter. You can do boat tours on the canal. A boat just gone past. And during the winter, when they have a festival, they have like a lantern festival, I think it's called, and they line the whole canal with lanterns they make out of snow and light them up. That must be really picturesque down here. But yeah, the canal here was important during Hokkaido's colonization, as Otaru was a fishing port. And you can see this lined with, it's still lined with the old warehouse buildings that have been converted into restaurants. Yeah, if you come to Otaru, definitely come down and check out the canal. So we're just closing out the night here in Otaru, walking down Sakaimachi, which is an old historic street full of old, like European-looking buildings, and there's a lot of fish, like seafood-type places where you can get stuff cooked out on the street, or you can come in and sit down and eat in the back. And so we did that. We were in one of these ones. Well, this place had a king crab rice bowl, and Nicole really wanted to get a lot of crab while we were here, and so we came in here to try it out. And the first dish that came up is horrifying, actually, but Nicole's going to eat it, and it is some kind of shrimp. It's like a big shrimp. I think it's raw. They've cut off the shell but left the head and the tail, and I'm looking forward to watching her eat this thing. So you're going to brave this thing, are you?
I'm so excited to eat this. Let me break it in half so it's more manageable. This thing looks awesome. I can't believe how big it is. Look at the size of the head. Let's get some soy sauce and wasabi. Oh, Michael, this is so good. It's so fresh, and it's just concentrated shrimpness. Thumbs up.
It's definitely raw, eh?
It's definitely raw. Raw and delicious.
Well, you enjoy.
Okay, our main course is here. Mine is the king crab meal. So there's the leg and the body parts on top of a bed of rice.
Has it been deshelled?
Yes.
Looks pretty good.
Looks like they're generous with the crab.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of crab. And then I got a mixed sushi bowl or sashimi bowl. The various fish and eggs and sea urchin on rice.
How do you feel about sea urchin?
I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever had it before. And I have a prejudice against it. I'm not even trying it. But I guess I'm going to be trying it now. So here's a piece.
He's just a little guy. He'll be good.
Let's see. It tastes a little bit. It's good. It's not what I was expecting.
Were you expecting something rubbery? That's why?
I don't know. I just was expecting something gross. But yeah, it's good.
Goody.
Yeah. So this meal's been good so far. I was really worried about the sea urchin, but that's working out okay. The fish is really crazy fresh. There's a lot of, they put a lot of eggs in mine.
That seems to be
big roe, small ones.
the fish roe seems to be an incredibly popular item up here in Hokkaido.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, even our breakfast buffet had a huge bowl of it. And there's some raw shrimps in here. Salmon, tuna. Wow, I think that's it.
Wow, they really did give you a bit of everything.
How's your crab?
I've demolished all the smaller pieces, and now it's the main event, and I don't want to eat it because if I do, it'll be gone.
No, you got to do it because we got to go back to Sapporo.
That's true. Our hotel room awaits.
Yes.
I feel like ice cream.
All right, we're back at the hotel. I am tired. It's 8 o'clock. I'm making progress though. It's not 7. Yesterday I think it was about 7 o'clock and I was face down in the bed, still fully clothed and just passed out. But let me say that train ride back was a difficult one. I was falling asleep the whole way, but felt like something sweet. And when we first came into Sapporo, was it yesterday? There was a tart shop, and it just must have been bringing out fresh stuff because it smelt amazing. And I was really wanting it at the time, but we just wanted to get to the hotel, and there was a huge lineup of people coming in to buy tarts. I guess their fresh smelling tart smell was working. So, but I got one tonight, and let's crack it open and see what we got. This is the packaging. It's a cheese tart of some sort. That's really good. The crust is super crunchy, and it's more cookie than crust. It's almost like some kind of crust cookie, and the infilling is it's pretty light. It's not super sweet. It's got a good cheese flavor. Yeah, this is really hitting the spot. So I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'm gonna ask Nicole what she thought of Otaru when she's just in the shower right now. So we'll give you a recap, and then I think it's off to bed. Wow, that was a really great day.
I had a lot of fun.
What were the highlights for you?
I think definitely blowing my own whiskey glass was my favorite part.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It was unexpected. I didn't think that it would be that much fun considering he did 98% of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, but you got to see the process up close and personal, and you wouldn't probably have seen that if you weren't involved to some degree. Yeah, so for me, I really liked the whiskey place, the distillery tour. I thought that was really well put together, and the grounds themselves were just really nice to walk around, and it was just a really nice stroll. And it was nice when it started to snow a little bit, added to the atmosphere. Really well maintained grounds. They'd look after all the trees and everything, and keep it all looking really nice. And the information about the whiskey distilling and whatnot, and him himself, like, wow, what an amazing guy to go to Scotland back in those days and learn how to make whiskey and come here and become so successful at it. Like, he must have really been a whiskey nerd.
Yeah. My favorite part also was the grounds, and I liked how they actually talked a lot about his personal life with his wife, because that, again, amazing that he went to Scotland and brought back a Scottish bride.
Yeah, that too. Like that I don't remember what year. Do you remember what year? Like,
I think he went over in 1919, but I'm not quite sure what year they came back.
Early 1900s. And Otaru was really good place to go check out. Lots of stuff to do there. We probably just scratched the surface. We did the glass blowing, as you mentioned.
I like the main street.
Yeah, the street that we were on, the old street.
Do you remember the name?
No.
No. The actual stores themselves were full of, they were quite touristy, but if you look at the architecture, each building is incredible. And I think just taking a stroll down the street, even if you don't go shopping, it's well worth the look.
Yeah, the buildings were really cool.
Today was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a good day. And success, it's almost 9 o'clock and I'm still awake. So I think I'm slowly adjusting, which is good. Tomorrow, we're not quite sure. We'll figure out what we're up to tomorrow. So I think this is the end. I'm going to get into bed and get some sleep.
Night.
Have a good one.